Hey everyone, this is David. Our last podcast episode went a little longer than we expected, so certain things had to be cut for time, including this conversation we had about the new Obi-Wan Kenobi show. So if you want to hear our thoughts on that, here's a bonus clip where we talk all about it. Enjoy!
Well, one of the things that we want to talk about first is a little show that you might have heard of. It's a kind of like an indie project that's kind of like flying under most people's radars.
Yeah.
It's on
Some solid fan fiction is what I hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of what it feels like. It's on the low budget Disney Plus streaming platform. So Spencer, TK, and I watched Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to talk about it too much because we've got other stuff we'd rather talk about, but at least for me, the gist is very disappointing.
Yeah. I feel like this was like a really big project that a lot of people were looking forward to. And I felt like none of the expectations were met. And maybe that's like just because of the overhype of it all. But at the same time, they could have put a lot more, heart into it. Because it felt like they did it because there was so much demand for it, and that was the only reason they did it.
Yeah, that's kind of the feeling that I got too.
See, on top of that too, I was really excited to see Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen come back to the screen, especially like reprising their characters as Anakin Skywalker or Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I thought, this would be a fun thing to watch, but in reality, it was kind of hard to keep my eyes focused on the screen.
TK and I actually watched like the first 2 episodes together, and that was before we were super jaded. I already thought that I wouldn't really like it because I watched the trailer with Jared before it came out like several months ago, and I already thought that it looked kind of corny and just bad. But I don't know. I kind of did have a little bit of hope for it when it started, just because I was like, it is fun to see Ewan McGregor back. He's the best actor in the prequels, and he kind of sells some of Obi-Wan's otherwise confusing character moments and decisions and dialogue. But apart from, like, if he weren't in the show, it really would just feel like a fan project. The plot that they developed is so weak that you have several episodes that basically rehash the same plot over and over again. Like, episode 2 is about Obi-Wan going to save Leia, and then like 2 episodes later, it's about Obi-Wan going to rescue Leia from like the same bad guys, and it just kind of goes. And Obi-Wan has a couple battles with Darth Vader that are kind of reminiscent of that. Did you guys ever watch that like Scene 37 remastered or whatever, or reimagined?
Oh yeah.
It's like this fan project where they took the Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader fight in 1977 Star Wars, and they like CG'd it and like made like a modern version where they're actually like fighting in like a more prequel style. And like for a fan project, it's like, it's impressive. It's like, oh, that's cool that you could like do that. But at the same time, it doesn't like make the fight better or the story better or the emotions any better. And I feel like that was kind of what happened with the show. Like, okay, yeah, there's some like flashy, it's a flashier laser sword battle than in the original Star Wars, but I don't feel the emotions that it's trying to make me feel at all.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. No, that makes sense. On top of that, like, aside from Obi-Wan and Hayden Christensen's performances, if there's one thing that I can always talk about with other people who have seen the show, I always say, okay, can we talk about Princess Leia? And they will immediately be like, oh my gosh, she's annoying, or like, I don't know what the directors were thinking with making her be able to be like a track star, to outrun and outmaneuver some thugs in the middle of the woods. Like, if she can dunk under a branch, like, why couldn't they?
Yeah.
It was just...
A lot of people are hating on, like, the child actress for Leia, which I think she does a fine job. I blame the writers mostly.
Right.
Oh, definitely.
No, I agree with
Because,
you.
like, she's just a little kid. She's doing her best, and she's doing fine for, like, what they've given her.
It's just that what they've given her is awful.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she's supposed to be 10 years old, but they've written her like a snarky 15-year-old.
Uh-huh.
and she's played by a girl who looks like she's like 8 years old.
Yeah.
And so she has some really annoyingly grown-up sounding dialogue sometimes, where she's like scolding Obi-Wan for not being so as trusting as she thinks he should be, even though they've just been like betrayed by several people.
And she wouldn't trust him for the longest time.
Yeah. I don't know. I know a lot of people really enjoy it, but something that Aaron and I were talking about, because he hasn't seen the show, but he's watched reviews and stuff, is basically like the show leaves the characters exactly where Revenge of the Sith did, just kind of like worse.
Yeah.
Like Revenge of the Sith ends with Obi-Wan Kenobi still a faithful Jedi, and now he's going to go off and learn from Master Qui-Gon as a Force ghost on Tatooine. And this show ends with Obi-Wan Kenobi, a faithful Jedi, now going off to learn from Qui-Gon Jinn as a Force ghost. And everything else was just kind of wheel spinning. And like, I guess what it did add is now I know that Luke Skywalker, when he was 10 years old, was chased by a Sith Inquisitor inside his homestead. And therefore, the fact that he doesn't know what a lightsaber is doesn't make any sense at all, because he was almost killed by one.
And that Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru are like apparently like covert ops special forces.
Yeah.
What? They've got like all sorts of laser rifles, and they can like hold off a Jedi Inquisitor or a Sith Inquisitor for several minutes. Oh, also that stab wounds don't matter.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Jared, have you seen anything at all of the show?
No. What?
Okay, so a brief synopsis to just spoil the whole show.
Yes, who is Obi-Wan Kenobi? This is related to a larger product, I hear. It's related to some massive franchise.
Oh.
Because to me it looked like just like a bunch of people playing in a backyard.
Yeah,
Right, let's
with
talk
like
about
a
episode
really
one.
obvious green screen in the back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Ah.
a quick rundown of the 6-episode arc is we begin with Obi-Wan having renounced the Jedi religion and buried his lightsaber in the sand on Tatooine, because that's something that Disney likes doing now, is burying lightsabers in the sand. And he's renounced everything, and he's living as like a butcher hermit guy, and he's kind of watching Luke sometimes. But then Bail Organa is like, hey, Leia's been kidnapped. You need to go after her, even though we're members of the Senate and we could just send like the Senate police or whatever after her. No, we need you to go find her. So Obi-Wan leaves Luke on Tatooine to go rescue Princess Leia, who is 10. And meanwhile, Obi-Wan is being chased by Reva, who is a Sith Inquisitor. And she's trying to hunt him down so that she can like rise up the ranks of the Sith Inquisitors and become like Vader's right-hand woman.
Was she chasing him down, or was she slowly doing parkour behind him?
Oh my gosh.
So she actually orchestrated Leia's kidnapping in order to kind of lure Obi-Wan out, because somehow she knew that Obi-Wan would be sent to go rescue her. I don't know.
Yeah.
And anyway, so Obi-Wan rescues Leia and then meet a bunch of other people, and Darth Vader's trying to get them. Anyway, Reva, it turns out, in the second to last episode, was actually one of the younglings that Anakin almost killed. Apparently she somehow pretended to be dead so that he wouldn't actually kill her. That was kind of confusing.
Yep.
And then this whole time she's been trying to like rise up the ranks in order to kill Vader, which is actually kind of an interesting twist if it had any like repercussions for the character or the plot.
Or if it had an internal continuity.
Yeah, but as it stands, it's revealed, and then she just keeps being a bad guy, so it doesn't really matter. And then Vader finds out that she's been doing this, and so he stabs her through the chest. And after she gets stabbed through the chest, she flies halfway across the galaxy to Tatooine in order to kill Luke Skywalker for some reason.
Well, it was more as like, you know,
What?
Because so after Vader stabs her, she finds like this almost broken like communication device.
It's so contrived.
Yeah, where Bail is saying like, hey, if you don't make it back here or communicate back to me, Obi-Wan, I'll watch after the boy in Tatooine. If Vader finds out the connection between the children and who he is, and she's like, oh my gosh, that's probably his children.
I guess somehow she just guesses that.
Yeah, I know, but like, what are the odds?
And like and Organa says like I'll find Owen or something, so she knows who to look for when she goes to Tatooine. And so she goes to Tatooine with the chest, having been stabbed through the chest with a lightsaber. She goes to Tatooine, finds Owen and Beru's homestead. Owen and Beru pull out like blaster rifles and start trying to like take her out. And she like goes and chases Luke through the Dune Sea. Luke falls on some rocks and gets knocked unconscious. She almost kills him, but then remembers, wait, I was almost killed as a youngling, and now I am about to kill a youngling. Have I become what I wanted to destroy? And it's like, yeah, somehow, even though I have no idea why you want to kill Luke in the first place. So then she doesn't, and she just takes his body back to Owen and Beru, and then everyone lives happily ever after, and nothing has changed.
Yep.
What?
Well, it's because we got to get that Reva show coming out next year.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like she's a good actress. Just this was not the right role that was written. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because like she's supposed to be this intimidating villain, but every time she tries to be intimidating, it just comes off as like laughable. Like she isn't scary, which is fine if she were not playing a character that was supposed to be scary.
Right.
Yeah, I did see that.
Are any of the Inquisitors scary in that show? Because like I've seen the clips and I've seen pictures, and like all of them look kind of ridiculous. And doesn't the Grand Inquisitor have like a really high pitched voice? Like it's like a high tenor.
Hello, said sister.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah.
It's not that bad. He's kind of like
It's more like the smug British villain.
he reminds me of like an Indiana Jones villain. Like the other ones are legitimately fine.
Like a Belloc, okay.
Yeah, one of them is played by
Han from Tokyo Drift.
Yeah, from the Fast and Furious movies, and he's like pretty good. Like
Yes.
all of them are like pretty good, but then she's just the standout, clumsy, awkward, not intimidating at all one.
Yeah.
And here's the thing also, like if it turned out that the reason why it was like that was because it was this whole act, because she was just trying to do this to kill Vader, then it would at least make some sense and it'd be like, oh, that's why she's been acting this way. But the problem with that is that she's still been being ruthless. Like she's still killed people and like been doing evil acts. So it's not like this has all been one big like facade. Like she is doing bad things in order to get to Vader. She is evil. So the fact that she isn't intimidating just doesn't work with everything else that we find out about the character.
Yeah, if like so, I'm sure you all of us here have seen Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
If she could have been played like Azula, that would be great. You know, because like Azula doesn't look scary. You know, she just looks like a really regular girl. But the vibe of her intimidation is just like way up there.
Like her insanity.
You know? Yeah, and also like the tone of voice. Because like Reva, or the third sister in this, is like, she just sounds like a Baltimore thug.
Yeah.
That's like started at the bottom, is still there, like trying to work her way up.
Yeah, like there's a scene where she like pushes one of the other Inquisitors.
Maybe like barely moves.
Yeah, she goes like, ugh.
Like with her forearm, like push him away. But in reality, she's the one that like pushes herself away. It's like she was like pushing off a wall.
Yeah. Anyway, so honestly, not worth your time, I don't think.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like a lot of my family, like I've seen their Facebook posts and stuff because they're huge like Star Wars fans. And a lot of them are like, "Oh wow, this show was amazing! Like all the feels and nostalgia, like the best thing ever. Thank you, Kenobi." And like I saw a TikTok that was like, "Man, this show was rough, but Episode 6 made it all worth it. Best show ever. Hashtag Kenobi." I'm like, I don't even know what it is, but it's just like it just already feels so biased.
I don't even know if it like Episode 6 is fine.
The best part about it is the fight between Vader and Obi-Wan.
Just the chemistry that Hayden and Ewan have together when it comes to those kind of choreographies. I think that's
I did feel
the
a
highlight
little
of
bit
it.
when Obi-Wan was starting to tear up because he realized what like Anakin had become.
Yeah.
I felt like a little sad for him then, but that was like the best part of the entire show. I think was just that one moment. So
Yeah.
And the show is like almost 6 hours long, so having like 1 5-minute sequence that's good doesn't really justify the existence of the rest. No.
So like if you want to watch it, you can watch it at your own risk, but like it's meh to me, you know. I gave the rating of that like a 2 out of 5.
Yeah, same.
I think all of us did. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 out of 10. It's not It's not as bad as the lowest moments of the show. Like episode 2 really got me thinking that the whole thing was going to be like one of the worst things ever. And it ended up not being that bad, but it's definitely not good.
Episode 4, bro. She's hiding under the robe.